This podcast is sponsored by Relevant, a location-based mobile network personalized by your interests. Customize your newsfeed to consolidate all the information you care about all in one place to quickly and easily find what's relevant to you. Find out what's going on in your local area and reach your community from the palm of your hand. Relevant is available on iOS and coming soon to Android. Be the first to know with Relevant.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Poorly Edited Podcast, and we are live on WXLV, the X at Lehigh Carbon Community College. My name is Coffee Guy. I'm here with my lovely two co-hosts, again, Amresse Farrow and Patrick Lilly. I just talked to you guys yesterday. Everybody just heard us yesterday. I don't think there's a whole lot of catching up to. Like, did you guys have a good night's rest? I slept okay. No, that's not interesting. Here at the Poorly Edited Podcast, we make sure we do everything we can to put a spotlight on the most creative minds that we can find. The very best a couple college students can.
Not very well.
Not very well. Actually, we've had really good luck the past couple of weeks. This is like it's like the third part of a trilogy for the Getting Grace thing that we're doing right now. Last week, we had Madeline Dundon on, who plays Grace in Getting Grace. The week before that, we had Danny Roebuck on, who not only directed and co-wrote the movie, but he also starred in it himself. Getting Grace, of course, being the movie that was shot entirely in the Lehigh Valley that came out earlier this year. And today, continuing the trend, we have on the wonderful Alyssa Garcia, who wrote some of the music that's actually on the movie soundtrack itself. How you doing today? Thank you for coming on.
Hi, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's absolutely wonderful to have you here.
Happy to be here.
So you, besides just being on the movie soundtrack itself, you are also a singer-songwriter and a pianist and a ukulelist. Is that a word?
Ukulele player. I kind of made it up.
Ukulelist. I like the sound of that. It sounds good. Pretty good. So
copyright that.
Yeah, we can copyright that. That's fine. That'll work.
Sounds good.
So you're on a movie. Like, your music, the stuff you wrote, is actually in a movie.
Yeah.
How long did that take to really sink in, or has it sunk in at all?
It still has not. It's a crazy thing to say, you know, my music is in a movie. Sometimes I don't even think it's real, but just the whole experience has been amazing. And not only just to say that my music's in the movie, but to be a part of the Getting Grace family, just because my music is in the movie, has been so nice and so.
I kind of wish I was in that family after talking to everybody.
I feel like if we just keep having them on,
that's
then
what
eventually,
I'm
yeah.
I feel the same way.
You in.
So not only is your music in this movie, but your music is in a movie that's going to be on Netflix very soon. So you are going to be on Netflix, essentially.
Oh my
How
gosh.
does that feel? Like, you can just go up to your friends or new people that you meet, but check me out on Netflix, this tiny little movie streaming
flex
platform.
right there.
Yeah,
like,
weird flex, but okay.
I was just
No,
watching
it's
a
crazy.
Weird Al Yankovic interview this morning, and he talks about how he brought first dates with him to see The Naked Gun, which he's in. So he'd like sit in the audience with his date and be like, "That's me," and be like in the screen. So you could start doing that.
I could.
That's a really weird thing to do.
Hey, this is my
next
song.
move.
That'd be a great segment, though.
Yeah,
We
seriously.
take Alyssa Garcia out on dates with people, and she shows them.
Hey,
like, do you like that song? It's a pretty cool song.
I wrote that. Created
me.
it with my own brain, you know?
I mean, yours is the first song, Loved Actually, right?
Yes,
it's
it is.
such a beautiful song.
Thank
and
you.
it really, like, it's so lovely, and it encompasses everything and all of those feelings of the love and the joy that's going on, that's going to be going on through the movie.
Definitely.
But also that it's playing all over Bethlehem, like, as you have those
Beautiful
shots of Bethlehem
Yes.
in the streets. And what did that feel like to have your music representing this area, the area that you grew up in? Like, what is that like for you?
Well, honestly, the first time I saw it, I cried. It was surreal to see it begin the movie and begin with such beautiful views. I actually did not grow up in Allentown, but
Neither did I.
Gotta go. I'm so sorry. We said I'm sorry. Could you?
Should I leave?
You're-
Awkward. But yeah, I did not grow up in Allentown, but it's become somewhat of a home to me just because I've played so many shows here, and being part of the Getting Grace family, it's been so welcoming. So it does feel like home when I come back here to play shows and stuff like that. So it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
And where did you grow up yourself?
I grew up in Conshohocken. I live in Norristown now, but it's like 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour away from here. So yeah.
I'll never get tired of hearing towns in Pennsylvania and have no idea where they are.
That's
Happens a lot.
just what happens when you live in a state that's more than the size of your town, Pat. Like, it's not a Pennsylvania thing. Whatever. So how did you go from putting out an album to then having some of that music be part of a feature film? What was that process like?
Well, it was all very, it just kind of came together. It was really a miracle to me. So I've been writing music since I was 11, and recording this album was a really big step for me. And actually, the 2 songs were already on an EP that I had released. And I played a gig in Allentown, and my dad was actually working in Allentown at the time, and one of his coworkers happened to mention, oh, there's a movie being filmed in the area, you should submit your music, they're looking for local artists. So I submitted my music, not really thinking anything would come from it, but it's kind of just a shot to see what would come from it. And like 4 months later, Danny calls and says, we want to use your music. And It wasn't, it felt so surreal. It still feels surreal. But I distinctly remember that phone call, and it's been so crazy to see how far it's come since. And yeah, it's really cool.
Was there any sort of process that you went through during production with your music? Like, did you actually get to be a part of the filmmaking process at all? Or like, did you get a chance to work with Dan himself or?
Well, we were actually, me and my family, we went to Roadside America for that one little shot. And we were going to be, we were actually extras in the film, but we got cut out. But that's the first time he pretty much showed where my music would play in the movie, as it was being, created then and there. And yeah, a lot of tears were shed. It was a lot of very emotional conversations with Danny over the phone and there to get where we are today.
So you had already written Loved Actually and Better Life, which are the 2 that are on the soundtrack and featured in the film. Mm-hmm. When you were writing those songs, what were your hopes and your expectations for them? Did you ever imagine that they would be doing something like this and they would be representing a movie with such impact?
I mean, I dreamed, but really writing these songs, these are just raw feelings that I felt myself, and writing about them really helped me grasp those emotions and pretty much tell my story so that people could relate to it. But to have it be on this big of a platform and have so many people comment on the music of the soundtrack has been so surreal. And I couldn't have imagined this at all, really.
And, your songs pierce through that movie. Dan had come to this school a couple weeks ago to do like a Q&A sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And he had mentioned you as one of the many local artists that were featured in the movie. And he mentioned you specifically. And when I saw the movie, for some reason, I just knew the 2 songs that I was hearing was the person that he was talking about. Oh. It just completely pierces through that movie. And that's crazy to think about.
It's insane how well it fit and how much it related to it, because, that is my story. And to have that be a part of Grace's story now is so crazy.
So not only are you on this soundtrack, but let's not brush over the fact that you've written your own whole album, as well as a couple other EPs, but your own whole album, mm-hmm. 3 Little Words.
Yes.
While you were in high school, you made an album, and it's out everywhere. It has been for years. So you've already been in the whole music scene way before Getting Grace even came along. What has that been like to you, that this is your whole career while still being, basically a child?
It's amazing. I always dreamed as a kid, writing this music and playing gigs in different coffee houses and stuff like that. It was something that was unique to me and something that I embraced so lovingly. And to be able to pursue that as a career is insane. I'm going to school at Drexel for music industry now, and to be able to do that and to be able to say I'm studying and working to be the best at my craft and making a living out of it is something that I've always wanted to do. So it's amazing.
You also had to I feel like this is a really important age for musicians to get some validation too.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to be
it's so hard.
I'm going to be a musician in college and that's my career. And if it doesn't work out or if your music isn't picked up, then
why do you think that is? What do you think makes that different now than previously?
I don't think it's different anymore. I just think that the bands we know and stuff is they're just kind of doing it, and they haven't really made a ton of breakthroughs yet, but they're still like working at it. So it must be a huge sigh of relief to be like, someone liked it enough that they wanted to incorporate it in their movie, which means definitely. That like it. I think I have a future in this field then, because like I've just getting that accomplishment must be like a weight off your shoulders. What I've learned is just pretty much telling my story as raw as it can possibly be, and just being myself throughout the whole process, because a lot of times that's hard to do in this kind of field, but it's worked so far. So I think that's a testament to just loving what you do and being yourself, you know.
I think there's a lot of pressures these days for people to start younger and younger and younger too. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, you could kind of take your time with things, but just like by the time you get to college, you feel like you should have had all these things accomplished already. You've done all of these things,
it's a
but
blessing.
That must be hard. I mean, I saw that your website is constantly updated. I noticed on your website you had that your guest appearance on this show today.
I was like, what are you doing?
You sure? You do not want to associate yourself with us.
Please.
But
I'd love to.
Have you felt any pressures going so hard for so many years? You felt any pressures to just maybe step back, take a breath, enjoy yourself in your youth? Or do you feel that you're constantly on and that you won't be able to take a break anytime soon?
I mean, because I love it so much, I think it doesn't feel like work to me, and just to have it be considered work is crazy. So personally, I don't feel like I'm being rushed. I know there is. I try to think that I have all the time in the world to, you know, just keep creating, and this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life, so I might as well enjoy it. So no, it feels amazing every time I get on stage. It never gets old. I still get really nervous. I'm still really nervous right now.
I was nervous for this show for some reason. Like, what are you doing, Zach? Get your act together. This is episode like 500. What's wrong with you?
It never gets easier.
Wow.
But,
I get intimidated by these amazing guests that we get to have on that are so talented.
Aww.
They're doing so many things with their life. They're accomplishing so much. And then there's us. And I'm like
a deadbeat college radio show.
When people agree to come on the show, I feel the need to go out of my way to tell them who we are. But you do realize that this is the poorly edited podcast. I think people don't really realize who we are. And then they show up and they're like, I'm in the wrong place. And by that time, they're already mic'd up and on air.
Yeah. I don't feel that at all. You guys are awesome. This is cool.
Aww. Thank you.
Well, thanks.
All right, we're going to go to a break real quick.
And when we come back, we're actually going to be playing one of her songs off her most recent album. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that.
Everything has changed, it's been rearranged. Good God, how'd I get to this age? Watch the innocence fade as people gain their sight. And they can't get a word out unless it's 4 letters, 'cause they think it's better. They think they're invincible, they think they can. I don't know why they wish to grow up, forever stuck in Neverland. I'm Peter Pan, you could call me a lost girl, 'cause that's what I am. Lost in the world, lost in my thoughts, lost 'cause society could eat me all up. Lost in the question I'll never know the answer to. Lost, but the joke's on you. And everywhere you look, skin short and they're on their phone, and reality is not a thing. They're living while they're young, like maturity's just a myth, and their parents are all in on it. But I don't know why they wish to grow up, forever stuck in Neverland. I'm Peter Pan, you could call me a lost girl, 'cause that's what I am. Lost in the world, lost in my thoughts, lost 'cause society could eat me all up. Lost in a question I'll never know the answer to. Lost, but the joke's on you. I won't let you change my mind, no, I won't give in to your foolish kind, 'cause I know who I am, and so do you. You just haven't found me yet. So you're gonna be okay. I don't know why you wish to grow up forever stuck in Neverland. Then Peter Pan, you could call me a lost girl, 'cause that's what I am. Lost in the world, lost in my thoughts, lost 'cause I'll never be someone I'm not. Lost in a story I'll never know the ending to. Lost, but at least I'm with you.
And we're back. This is the Poorly Edited Podcast live on WXLV The X at Lehigh Carbon Community College. You just heard Grow Up, which is one of the songs, just general good advice now, one of the songs off of Alyssa Garcia's newest album. And you said you started writing music when you were 11. Is that what you said?
Yes,
yeah. My goodness. Okay. So when did you actually start playing music?
So I've been in piano lessons since I was 5. And pretty much at 11, I started covering songs and like I was classical up until then. But then I had a teacher who was a songwriter himself. His name was Stu Shames. And he pretty much encouraged me to go for it because he realized I had a voice, and he just encouraged me to.
How does an 11-year-old take that? Like, did you really understand what he was saying, that somebody like him was confident in you? Or
I trusted him. He really knew what he was doing, and I always felt comfortable like learning from him. And to hear that from him was like a spark in my brain saying like, oh, I can do this. I'll try this out.
I really was able to see how young and beautiful of a voice and talent you are when you did this really interesting thing. There's a video on her YouTube channel of you going to Disney World and doing this American Idol kind of competition. I think you sang a Kobe Calais song.
I did.
You did, and it was absolutely beautiful and fabulous.
You.
And as I was watching it, but I couldn't see the audience, I could just imagine the audience's jaws dropping the entire time. This small, tiny little girl comes out and just belts this absolutely beautiful song. What was that whole thing about? What was that like?
Okay, so that was so long ago, crazy. But there used to be this like attraction in Disney World where you could pretty much go in and audition for the American Idol experience, and they would choose like park goers to perform on stage. So I got chosen, and pretty much if you win that section, I guess, you get a golden ticket to like audition for American Idol. So I didn't win that section, but that whole experience with like all the lighting and like the fake judges, that pretty much he
cardboard
looked,
cutouts.
he looked and sounded like Simon Cowell, so it was kind of terrifying.
Was he also still meaner than everyone else?
Oh, of course. And me being the small little timid thing I was, it was really fun, but at the same time, it was terrifying. But I still look back at that and I'm like, that's really cool. I did that.
And how old were you at the time?
I don't know. Maybe 13?
13 years old. So it was like a mock American Idol stage.
Yes.
What did you learn from that? I can't even believe you did it because I wouldn't have done anything like that. I am very impressed.
Not at that age. I mean, God, like I'm not until I was probably like 21 or 22 did I have any sort of confidence like that. That's a major accomplishment. Well,
I don't have
so
any
there's a difference between what I had and then what I have now, which still isn't a lot, but it's better. So there's that.
Oh no, it was kind of, it was validating just to be on that big stage. It's cool because we saw the video to look back at. I don't know. Maybe I will go and audition for American Idol one day. It's always been a dream of mine.
You absolutely should. The voice, anything that you can, because I think with what you've learned and how you've grown over the years, there's no way that you wouldn't absolutely make it. So you didn't quite get that. You were a young age. However, there are many other awards and accomplishments you have won, like the Philadelphia Singer-Songwriter competition. Tell us a bit about winning that.
So the teacher I was talking about earlier, Stu Shames, had co-founded this project called the Philadelphia Songwriters Project, and ever since it's been a huge part of my songwriting career and how I've developed it. And in 2015, I won the adult division of the singer-songwriter competition, and I was 15 at the time. And we got to go on tour with 4 other artists that won, and to just be in that, that section of like all of these adults playing their really, really wise music that they wrote themselves. To be a part of that was crazy, and it was very intimidating to be in that competition just as a performer. But to win it was absolutely insane.
So you went on a proper tour, like in a stinky bus and traveled around sort of thing, or?
Just my mom's minivan.
Okay.
So
You're good. Go ahead. You're fine. You're great. You're great.
so you started writing at 11, right? That's what you said?
Yeah.
So what do you write about at that age? Like, because
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
the stuff that you have on Spotify and stuff doesn't seem like it's written by an 11-year-old. And I assume it seems like you were a little more grown up than 11 when you wrote this stuff, just because none of it seems like it's about stupid teenage stuff.
I mean, some of it is, but I guess back then I just did a lot of thinking, and I really loved, going through that thought process and writing things down whenever I could and telling stories. And once I figured out I could put that to song, really all of my diary entries in my little like fluffy notebook or something turned into melodies and chords that I would share with the world. And I know like I wouldn't say any of those things out loud, just speaking. So to have the platform that I could do that and not be so afraid of it has helped me even now. Yeah.
It's really weird because I mean, a song can just be a diary entry, but once it's put to music, it seems
it's a little
I don't know,
more
something
relatable.
changes. You seem like you can say it and
It's a
you
little
won't.
easier.
Yeah.
So you started when you were 11. You're 19 years old now.
I'm 19,
How is your musical? What is the evolution of your music? The writing been like?
I mean, there are still definitely elements that I've kept over the years. But musically, I've definitely developed. Like I said, I'm going to school for music now, so all that music theory is really going to go into good use. And I've just really loved exploring different chord progressions and different things that just sound cool to me, and then being able to write a song to it. And definitely my word choice and the way I tell stories has evolved into more like complex metaphors and stuff like that. But it's still just diary entries and just my story, I guess, in song form.
Yeah, it must have been a pretty big diary because when you started writing music, you just didn't stop. I mean, first, the most recent album is very large, and then you just can keep scrolling and there's just all this music. So, I imagine like a normal person, eventually you hit creative blocks, but clearly you have a pretty good method at overcoming that. So how do you deal with writer's block?
It's weird because when I write songs, I need to experience something and really like embrace those emotions and kind of tackle them. So my writer's block is when I'm just, sitting at home and I'm bored and nothing's happening to me. So really just exploring not only my story, but other people's stories, or if there are other sources of inspiration, pretty much writing from that and just learning from the world around me and stuff.
You have a unique sound, a very strong voice.
Thank you.
Do you have any inspiration of your own, of different writers, musicians, works of art?
Definitely.
Who has inspired you to create all of the work that you've already made?
So a lot of female singer-songwriters are very inspirational to me. Sarah Bareilles is my hero. I love her so much.
You had a great cover of King of Anything. And if
Thank you.
anyone has a chance, go to Alyssa Garcia's YouTube channel. Please watch it. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been covering that song for a while, and like just her music and the way she's so confident in what she writes and how she portrays herself as an artist.
She's actually incredible because I saw her on her last night at Waitress.
No way.
Yes.
Oh.
Waitress with, what's his name?
Drew? That one?
Jason Mraz.
Oh, Jason
Mraz
Oh my
and
gosh,
Sarah
that's crazy.
Bareilles were on the show
I saw
Waitress
both.
on
That's
Broadway.
insane.
Victoria Justice was there that night. I ran into her too. It was the most incredible performance. And you could see like that energy just jumping off stage and hitting every single person in the audience.
That's amazing.
And I definitely see that reflected in you as well.
Oh my gosh, that's such an honor to hear.
That's something that's so cool about live performance is it's such a big transfer of energy, not just from the performer to the audience, but the audience back. And you mentioned before that you love getting up on stage every time. And you started, again, very, very young. What was that like the very first time when you were, I guess, probably 11 or 12, and you got up on stage to play for people at open mics?
Yeah, the open mics. A lot of the times it was a hit or miss, because really, to perform, you got to relate to your audience in some way. So, if it's kind of hard to relate when you're singing about like girly like teenage stuff,
In a bar or something.
in a bar, you know. But at the same time, when it did happen, when they did come up to you and compliment your words or the way I sang, it was incredible. And again, it was a validation for just being myself and telling my story. So yes, it's intimidating, but it definitely pays off in the end.
And do you have maybe any sort of highlight in your live performing career?
I would definitely say the winner showcase for the Philadelphia Songwriters Project, when I was performing to see who would win. That audience was so welcoming and so loving, and to have won that night was even better, and it was crazy. And then maybe another one, I actually opened for Sawyer Fredericks, who was one of the winners of The Voice, and to play that show to his kind of audience, and then get such good feedback, and even feedback afterwards on like social media and stuff like that. It's a whole family in itself too, so that was pretty surreal for me too.
Another accomplishment is that you were asked to perform at the Lilly Awards on the evening that Daniel Roebuck won his Lilly Award.
Yes.
He had a whole speech about how wonderful you are, just gushing about you. And your performance was beautiful because it was lit up beautifully by that beautiful light display.
Yes.
That was amazing.
So that night was incredible. Well, first of all, the speech that Danny gave right before had me in tears. I was like trying to pull myself together. I was like, I have to go on stage. Oh my God. But yes, the night was so beautiful. The light show behind me was actually programmed to the song Better Life, which I didn't even know until I got there. So to see the whole setup was like, I was taken aback. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Did they tell you like right before? Did you just like hit the chord and then the lights changed and you're like, oh my God?
Well,
Was it like that? Or?
All the lights were on.
Okay.
And then I started playing and they were like, oh yeah, we have a light show programmed to your song. I was like, what?
Don't mess up, no pressure.
That's mind blowing. I figure the artist would be the person to know if you're doing that.
Yeah, like the one person you
It
tell.
was a beautiful
By the way.
surprise though. I mean, yeah.
I guess that's the last person you want to throw off. All right, we're gonna go to a break real quick. I'll be right back.
What's up, everybody? We are back, the Poorly Edited Podcast, live at WXLV, the X, Lehigh Carbon County Community College. All right, so I said county. It's fine, Pat. All right, I just want to make sure everybody knows where we are.
I just thought I was going crazy because I thought you said the right thing, but it sounded wrong.
No, it's L and then 4 C's. I added an extra C onto the college name.
That's all right.
Because you can never have enough C's.
Look, three C's to 4 C's isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, but I mean...
30 cc's.
All right, so right before we left, we were talking to Alyssa Garcia about this amazing set she had when she performed at the Lilly Awards. And that got us thinking, well, you have to have an idea for a favorite set, right? Like, what is your dream set? How would you want that to look?
Ooh. I mean, the one that I had the night of the Lilly Awards was definitely
That
a
might be a
dream.
good point. That might be a good point.
I
You can just
didn't
have
expect that
Dan
at all.
follow you around on tour
That's a
and just give
good
speeches.
idea.
And
Yeah,
then,
a bunch of lights.
That's
Yeah.
a good idea. I think, well, they had a really good idea with there was like a projection of a bunch of like tea lights on the piano. So like my dream has always been to have like a stage just full of, I don't know how like safe this is, but to have like a bunch of tea lights and just like a single spotlight on like a grand piano. And just like a very intimate.
I might
Just
be
don't
dumb, but
step
what's
on
a
them.
tea light?
it's like a little
Like a
candle light,
little-
right?
little
Like the
candle.
really
Alright.
small ones. Just don't step on
nothing
it.
too
It's fine.
extravagant.
I know you're talking about, yeah.
It's like the comedy gigs when they put mousetraps all over the floor, but
Yeah.
it's pretty and it doesn't hurt your feet. Well, I guess it does hurt
Well,
your feet.
it could.
I like that you said those little tea lights because you don't need anything huge or dramatic with
gosh,
your
yeah.
music. You don't need a bunch of little extras and you don't need it to be dressed up. It speaks for itself. So having a few lights there to just help your music glow, that's really all it would need.
I think less would be a lot more actually for that.
I agree.
So let's get the venue book. And then we
Yeah,
throw this
yeah,
let's
that's
go.
fine. I'm building it right now.
Come
I
on,
gotta
guys.
go.
Let's get on this.
You said you were going to school for something music related. Can you be a
Yes.
little more specific?
So I'm in the music industry program at Drexel, and I'm in the recording arts track. So I'm
Ooh, okay.
learning all the cool, audio engineering stuff.
Did you do any of that on any of your own music? Because it sounds very well produced.
Actually, I record at a place in Spring City, Pennsylvania. It's called Chaplains. And I've been working with this guy named Chris Cacciuella for years. So he's my producer, and he's taught me a lot about recording music. So now I'm trying to do it myself, too.
How did you meet him, if you've known him for years?
So I played the Norristown Hill Arts Festival, I think in 2015. They all blend together. But
Once you've been to so many gigs, you know.
it's crazy. But he was my sound guy that day, and he was just I think he was like filling in for someone, but he happened to, be listening very closely, and he approached me about playing a show at Chaplin's, a listening venue he was managing. He still is managing, and ever since we have been pretty close, and he's been recording my music. Yeah,
He's a young guy too.
Oh, yeah.
He's very young.
Yeah.
I saw him. He was just like, he's our age.
yeah.
I think.
It's funny because people say he looks like my brother, or I like to call him like, this is my older brother. Yeah.
So what's it been like to be able to work with a singular person like that with your music for so long? I mean, I imagine you just get back into that environment and he just knows what needs to be done.
Definitely. It's as much as a creative process for me, it's a creative process from him, and he's had such a large voice on producing this music and really making it come alive. And I think we've had a really good dynamic and like a really good connection. One cool thing, we're both Filipino. So we connected over that, and just, I don't know, he just knows me very well, and I don't think I could work with anyone else the same way.
So your music is beautiful, and it speaks for itself. You don't need anyone else. But if you were to have a few dream artists to work with, to co-write with, who would they be?
That's hard. Again, definitely Sarah Bareilles, just because I feel like I could relate. Regina Spektor. Again, another female singer-songwriter who has like these complex melodies and lyrics that always tell a story. Ingrid Michaelson. Who else? Tori Amos. Again, a lot of female singer-songwriters. Yeah. Julia Michaels. Yeah, she's cool too.
Can Danny Roebuck sing?
I haven't heard him sing, but I could get him to if you want.
I think we should. Yeah, I
He
think
said he
we-
was coming back, right?
he said he wanted to
he's
come
coming
back.
back.
So
we got him.
yeah,
Call me over.
one condition, pal. If you want to come back on the show,
You
you're gonna have
gotta
to
sing.
sing on live radio.
He's like, I won't come then. It's no big deal.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. We didn't want him anyway. No, he was an absolute pleasure to have on, though. It was
always
such a
is.
fun time.
So when something huge happens, like you win an award or your music's in a movie soundtrack,
Do you get a pass on your homework? Like, is that allowed?
How does that affect
I would exploit that.
How does that affect your work ethic towards music? Is it like if something gets an award, you like, okay, I should focus on that more? You're like, okay, I did that to the point where like it was award worthy, so maybe I should do something else to mix it up.
I think at this point it's just validation. I've been doing the same thing for years and just really sticking to it. So to be given awards or to be in a soundtrack, just doing what I love, I think it's just a motivation to work harder and keep writing what I'm writing.
I find you a breath of fresh air because you're so positive, and so many of the artists that we work with, while they're absolutely wonderful, many creators have a very self-deprecating kind of tone to them and air about themselves. But you are very positive and really confident in yourself. That really sets you apart. So how is it that you're able to create so much and be so positive, or at least outwardly not appear to be so self-deprecating?
I mean, it's really a blessing to see where my music has gotten me so far, and I think that's why I feel so confident in what I do, because I love it so much, and because it just feels right. No matter if I'm writing, no matter if I'm performing, I always get some kind of positive connection. And yes, there can be negative comments and stuff like that, but if there are, I try not to focus on them, because there's been an overabundance of positivity from my music and from what I do, so I keep sticking to that.
Well, and like you said, it's that validation. It's not like you're going to win your next award and be like, nah, that's time. I had a pretty good run.
This
but
is the top. I made it.
they got that help wanted sign outside of the office next door, and I think I want to do that. So, yeah, I mean, clearly you're onto something.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you're winning all of these awards. You came to our studio here in Schnecksville. You live in Conshohocken.
Norristown, but yeah.
Yeah, Norristown.
Yeah.
Right. Your family is here supporting you.
Yes, they are.
What's that like, having such an amazing support system? Because I could do this and be like, oh my God, Daniel Roebuck to come on our show. She'd be like, that's great, but I noticed the garbage wasn't taken out. so that amazes me, having a family that supports you so much and having a sister that also shares the same talents as you.
Oh, yes.
Tell us more about her too.
Oh, sure. So yeah, my parents have been so supportive ever since I've started, and that's been a huge reason why I've gotten this far. They've driven me to every piano lesson, every gig so far. So obviously I wouldn't be where I am unless they were there supporting me. And I actually have two younger sisters. They both play piano and ukulele, and they all sing.
They're coming after you. You better watch out. Jeez.
See, we're gonna start a girl band, and we're gonna be the new Jackson 5, but we're gonna be like Garcia 3 or something. I don't know.
I love that. You heard it here, folks.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
The Garcia 3.
The Garcia 3.
Next summer.
That has a good ring to it. Yeah. That's good.
Or G3. We always
Yeah.
thought about G3.
Wasn't that like a Gatorade thing?
It was, yeah.
Ooh,
G3?
awkward.
There's 3 stages of Gatorade
Is there?
that go
Alright.
along with your workout.
You're making this up.
I'm not.
The G3.0?
So you got to drink one
We'll work on
before,
it.
We'll
one
work on it.
during,
We'll
and
work
one
on it.
after.
An
It'll
entire
happen.
Gatorade thing?
Hmm?
There's
They
a
have
lot of sodium in there.
Oh yeah, no, it's
You gotta be
terrible
careful.
for you.
So maybe not G3. You should probably stick to Garcia 3.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
I think that has a really good ring to it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I saw when I was on your website and a couple other places as well is this phrase, music is the cure. And that jumped out at me, not just because it was there and it was like the tagline on the website, but for some reason I was just like, okay, well, what does she mean by that?
So that phrase, I guess, originated from the piano teacher I was talking about earlier. He used to always say that to me, and I've pretty much lived by that ever since. Music is the cure for me and for a lot of people I've met. Music has always been my source of, venting or just getting all my feelings out there and not holding them all in. And it's always helped me no matter what. And it's helped a lot of other people too that have heard my music, and they've told their stories to me, and it's just a testament to how true that statement can be.
I'm not a musician, but like, no matter what mood I'm in, there's always
I'm
gonna get home and listen to this song, and that'll make me feel like, better or even better, like something.
To know that writer pretty much felt the same way that you were feeling at that time, and then wrote this piece of music. Music is the cure.
When did you come up with that slogan?
Slogan.
Oh,
Yeah. Like I said, my piano teacher had been saying it to me for years, and just the way I wrote my music, it has always been, like I said, a diary entry, and it's been my way of coping with the hard times and the good times. So just living by that statement. Yeah.
I like that you do mention that it's how you deal with the good times, because there can be moments, I've had moments as a songwriter where you're going through a really good period of time, Patrick, and you do, like, this song comes out, and then you feel the same sort of way that you feel if you had written something about something sad. Not that like happy and sad sort of thing,
Right.
but just like a relief.
Oh,
almost.
yes, definitely.
Is there any song in particular maybe that you can especially relate that to? Coming from a positive place?
From a positive place? It's hard because I write a lot of sad songs, but so I wrote this song recently. I went on a retreat with a bunch of my friends senior year. It's called Kairos, and it's pretty much about really finding yourself spiritually and finding yourself like in a social situation and just loving yourself and loving others. So I wrote this song, You Are Loved, to pretty much encapture all of that. And ever since, it's been like a little anthem for me and wherever I play it. And it just reminds me that event happened and how positive it was.
So I don't know if this quite applies to you yet, but I was reading an interview once about the lead singer of the Arctic Monkeys, and he talks about how like people come to the concerts and want to hear the old stuff, but he doesn't want to do it anymore because it's not who he is anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've been writing music for like 10 years close now. So
Almost.
Are you at that point, or like is everything still pretty like relatable to the point where when you sing it, it's still like you and what's going on?
Well, maybe because, I remember we had a band on here who talked about, I don't want to play the songs I wrote when I was 15. I was 15. Like, I can relate to that. I was not who I wanted to be at 15,
I mean, my very, very, very old stuff from like my first albums that I recorded myself, like I don't play them as often anymore. But then again, I read the lyrics and I'm like, it's just a reminder that I felt that way at a certain point. And that song it's like, they're like photos in a photo book or something like that. They're just memories. So I don't play them out that much. Now and then I'll bring back like an old one and like try to revive it. Because they still remain relevant in my life, I think. But yeah.
It's like reading through an old diary, right?
Yeah.
Same sort of thing.
It's embarrassing, but comforting.
That is weird, yeah. Because you definitely don't want to feel like you want to be that person again, but at the same time, you do get some sort of satisfaction over reading that, which is very bizarre.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Are all the songs written for yourself, or who or what is the motivation for a lot of them? Do you have some of them that are specifically, the exact person that was written for?
A lot of the times it is myself or my interaction with another person. A lot of them are love songs, but then again, I've never really, been in love, so it's never really been directed at someone or for someone. But yeah, it's just at this point it's just emotions. But maybe one day I'll write some songs about.
Can you write a song about us?
Of course.
I'd like.
Of course.
That's gonna be a bad song.
Like, tell me about yourselves.
And we're back.
All right, on that note, we're going to go to a break real quick, and when we come back, we'll hear some live music.
And we're back here live at WXLV The X, the poorly edited podcast, Lehigh Carbon Community College. Patrick, I got it. You happy? All right, we're good. So right off the bat, we're going to have Alyssa Garcia play a song for us, if you want to tell us what you're playing, and then you can take it right away.
All right, this one's called One Way Street, and I kind of wrote it about loving someone who might not really love you back, but you end up loving them anyway, because that's just what the heart wants sometimes. So this is One Way Street. This love is a one-way street. I've been driving since the day I met you. God knows I've tried to find a back road, but I just can't help but stay. 'Cause every word leaves me breathless, and every move you make is a miracle on earth. And every time your eyes find their way onto mine, I fall all over again. So I keep on driving if it means you'll be on my passenger side. I'll never say a word, never say a word, but I'll drive this one-way street till it leads back to you. Coffee stains, I can't concentrate on these conversations, these palpitations. And at the bottom of every cup is another I love you that I'll never say. 'Cause every word leaves me breathless, and every move you make is a miracle on earth. And every time your eyes find their way onto mine, I fall all over again. So I'll keep on driving if it means you'll be on my passenger side. I'll never say a word, never say a word, but I'll drive this one-way street till I realize it will never work. Whispers would redefine how I love you, but
ever say a word unless you want me to. I'll drive this one-way street till it leads back to you. Ooh. I will, I will, I will. I will.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Dude,
All right.
I'll never get tired of live music.
Yeah. So, what comes first for you? Is it lyrics or is it the melody or what? Because your stuff has such a strong emphasis on the story it's telling. It seems to me. Anyway.
Definitely. It really depends on the song. Usually it comes with an idea, with words first. Because like I said, they're diary entries, so a lot of them are just emotions that I'm feeling. So writing them out usually helps first, and then like chord progressions or a melody comes along. So yeah.
Do you find it easier for yourself to write on the ukulele? Because it seems pretty effortless. I mean,
I guess piano has always been more familiar to me, but since I've picked up the ukulele, it's so versatile that I kind of challenged myself because it's such a happy instrument. So I was like,
yeah.
Can I write a very sad song on this
No, but
instrument?
you can. You're right, and that's something I love about the
Yeah.
ukulele, and as well as the piano, is just their versatility and their
Exactly,
sound.
yeah.
Something I've learned is nothing's ever too happy to not be sad.
Yeah, no, there are
That's a good way.
there are plenty of songs
Good
that
way to
sound
put it.
very happy that are sad, and vice
Yeah.
versa.
Only a sad boy, a true sad boy, could say something like that.
Kudos.
Man.
Well, thank you so much for spending your night with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been an
If you
honor.
want to tell anybody or everybody where they can find and keep up to date with everything that you have going on.
Awesome. All right. So all of my social media and all my music can be found at alyssaggarcia.com. That's 2 G's, alyssaggarcia.com. And yeah, everything's on there. So be sure to say hi.
And you have an event coming up as
I
well,
do.
right?
On January 5th, I will be at Jillian's Cafe in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. And the star of Getting Grace, Grace herself, Madeline Dundon, and I will be there greeting all of you. And there's a free showing of the movie Getting Grace and a Q&A session, and we'll be performing together.
Oh, wow.
So,
Madeline Dunn is the guest that we had on last week.
yes.
Please check out that episode as well. And I'm going to be there. I don't know if any other members of Lab 212 is going to be there, but I will
Ooh, gotta
definitely
step
be
up,
there.
guys.
Please make sure you check out Alyssa Garcia's music on Getting Grace, the film. It's going to be available on Netflix if you'd like to check that out, and a few other places, as we've mentioned before. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
on.
so
It's
much
been
for
an
having
absolute
me.
pleasure.
It's been so fun.
Thank you.
I don't know, Pat, if you have anything you want to shout out.
Sly
Elliott on everything. That's right. Make sure you follow Chandler. He needs all the help he can get. He's so skinny. Please. He needs food.
He's currently dying of mono, so if you could get us those likes, those follows, that would really bring his health back
One
up.
like, one prayer for Chandler's mono. Check out the rest of our podcast.
Yeah.
Lab 212 YouTube channel.
And Alyssa's going to play us one more song to end the show. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you sometime soon. Things are a little weird with the holidays. Who really knows? But we'll be back. And it's been a pleasure. Have a good night, everyone.
This one is called Loved Actually, and it starts the movie Getting Grace.
Not a want, a need. That's all you want from me. That's all I'll ever be. Relationships aren't free. The greed, you cheat, a pang of disbelief, a plea of reprieve, and ignore me till need be. And now I'm thinking I'll need a little time to figure this one out. Wondering what I mean to you. This is all I'll ever do till we fall through. Tell me this, tell me now. When's it gonna be my time to be loved actually? Not somebody you need, but somebody you want. What's my value to you? And are you gonna be true? All have to find it out on your own. So welcome to the real world. Let's see just then if you're still a friend, or am I just the girl to break and bend? 'Cause now I'm thinking I'll need a little time to figure this one out. Wondering what I mean to you. This is all I'll ever do till we fall through. Tell me this, tell me now. When's it gonna be my time to be loved actually? Not somebody you need, but somebody you want. What's my value to you, and are you gonna be true? Am I a being or an answer? An advantage or a friend? Relied on so you don't fail, or do you know me enough to tell? Tell me this, tell me now. When's it gonna be my time to be loved actually? Not somebody you need, but somebody you want. What's my value to you, and are you gonna be true? Ooh, what's my value to you?